Nutanix Enterprise AI simplifies secure LLM and API endpoint management, making it easy for you to connect and deploy your AI applications. But what sorts of AI applications are we talking about? From simple chatbots to intelligent document processing, AI can drive real business impact. Hi, I'm Laura Giordana, Technical Marketing at Nutanix, and in this upcoming video series, I want to dive into various use cases that can help you drive your business forward. In today's video, we'll walk through setting up a simple chatbot powered by an inference endpoint and how we can set that all up in less than 6 minutes. Let's take a look. In this video, we're going to walk through building a chatbot that can be leveraged by Nutanix Enterprise AI. So this blog post on nutanix.dev provides a complete code sampler for you to get started with and walks through how to set it up. So it'll first walk through the Nutanix Enterprise AI setup, and so you'll need to have Python installed as well as an endpoint running on Nutanix Enterprise AI 2.0 or later, but it can actually be used with any OpenAI compatible endpoint. So before cloning our code sample and running the chatbot, let's make sure that we have an endpoint and model created. So in Nutanix Enterprise AI, the first step is to import the model. So we can connect to NVIDIA NGC for NIMs or the Hugging Face Model Hub or bring our own model. For NVIDIA and Hugging Face, we'll need the appropriate access tokens to connect and download the models. So we have those configured here already. So let's go ahead and download a NIM from NVIDIA. Nutanix Enterprise AI makes it very easy to download and deploy NIMs. So all you need to do is select the NIM you want from the list, give it a name, and it'll go ahead and start carving out the storage and pulling down the NIM container. So we're choosing the Llama 318B Instruct model. Once that model is ready to go, we can go ahead and start creating our endpoint. We're going to give it a name, and then we're going to select our model. So we can filter by type of model. In our case, we just have the one model imported, so we'll go ahead and select that. We can select which GPU to use as well. The number of GPUs, in this case, we'll just use one. We could also customize the configuration of the CPU and memory resources, but the NIM that we have installed is pre-validated, so we already have a recommended sizing in place. Then we'll go ahead and create an API key, copy that off to a safe place, and this is what our application will use to connect to the model with. Once the NIM container has been spun up, it'll be marked as active and we can go ahead and start using our endpoint. So drilling into the endpoint, we can test out the endpoint so we can understand that it's working before trying to use it in our application or handing it over to our application developer. We can also send them a code sample. So this has everything they need to get started, including tool calling. So the 3 pieces of information that we'll need are the endpoint URL, the endpoint name, as well as the API key. So now that we have our endpoint ready to go, we can go ahead and set up the environment to connect the application. So moving this over so we can see the terminal window side by side, we can simply start copying and pasting the commands. First, we'll go ahead and clone this code sample repo and CD into the appropriate directory. Next, we'll create our Python virtual environment and then start installing the requirements. So this chatbot is based on the Streamlit framework, which is a very popular framework for developing AI applications. So we're installing the required packages for that framework. Once everything is ready to go, let's just take a look at the files that we have here, and this is also outlined in the blog post. So the core logic of our chatbot is going to be in the chat.py file. So that's our Python script using the Streamlit framework. So the next step in the blog is to collect the required inputs, which we've already done. So that API key, the endpoint name, as well as the URL. And then we'll go ahead and run the Streamlit command to start the chatbot server. So this will automatically open a browser window to our chatbot. And we can see that on the side, it's asking for our 3 inputs. And we'll go ahead and put in the 3 inputs that we got from Nutanix Enterprise AI. And once we save this, we can go ahead and use the chatbot and ask it a question. And we can see that it takes about 9 seconds to give us a full answer. Back in Nutanix Enterprise AI on that endpoint details page, we can see that the request has come in. We can see that latency about 9 seconds, which aligns with what we saw in our UI. And on the main dashboard, we can see that our endpoint is one of the top 5 used and the chatbot API key is the top API key to be used. So this helps you track how things are being used in your environment, especially when you have multiple endpoints and multiple applications. Looking at another example of a Streamlit application, We're using the same backend, but we've modified the Streamlit code, and so we're doing things like implementing a dynamic list of endpoints based on the API key, using a temperature slider to select the consistency or creativity of the chatbot, and we can also experiment with different system messages. Without retrieval augmented generation, we're dependent on prompt engineering and system messages to influence the output of the model. So for example, this enhanced chatbot has a drop-down list of different system messages that have been configured. So we have the default, we have one for Nutanix Seller, which is based off Nutanix product-specific content. And we also have a translator system message for a couple of languages, as well as an API generator. So for example, if I were to ask in the default mode, what is NCM? It will give a generic answer just based off the model, how the model has been trained. Now, if we try this again with the Nutanix specific system message, we'll see that with the Nutanix provided context, it's giving us a much better answer. And trying out the Italian translator as well, we can see that it's translated our input to Italian. So we can see that we're able to influence the model's behavior with system messages. Stay tuned for upcoming videos on other popular AI use cases. And to learn more about Nutanix Enterprise AI, visit nutanix.com/NAI and take a test drive. We'll see you in the next video.